welcome to another episode of Inspire. Welcome, y'all, to another episode of Inspire. Listen to me when I tell you that StreamYard is going to hear from me. Okay, I know that we are late, but I moved everything to Restream. Listen, Restream is a VIP, is a real MVP right now because it enabled me to go live. So thank you all for your patience. Let me see if I can see who's in the chat. Listen, if you were here and you joined us, let me know. Do me a favor and share this out. I guess it would have been good if I shared it out as well. But, I am so focused on getting this thing up there. Let me share out that we are actually live today. Let's see. Because also Facebook doesn't give notifications that much anymore when someone goes live on their page, or they do it much later. I've been learning that because also Facebook doesn't and now you give notifications. That's all right. I'm glad I'm amongst friends and family, child. Let me share this. Let me share. Let people know that we are live. Oh, not a phone number. Okay. Yeah. I hope you listen. Share this out, y'all, because I don't see why this is. Hi, Marcus. Good morning. You want to say hi to all the people since you're up here after I asked you not to be? Say hello. All right. Now you can go back downstairs and watch TV. Bye, y'all. Goodbye, Brookie. Let's go. Off with you. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why this won't even let me share, but it is okay. We are going to be. Oh, let me edit the privacy and make sure. All right. There it is. Now I can share. This is what happens when you got to do stuff on the fly. You all should see it now. Prayerfully. I know that Dr. Katrina has also shared. Say yes if you shared. Just give me a thumbs up in the back if you shared, Dr. Katrina. And we're going to move forward. So again, welcome to another episode of Inspire. I am Zoe Webley. I am your host. I am an author, an entrepreneur, award-winning clergy, and the host of Inspire, which purposes to provide you with empowering conversations for positive change. We are live right now on Facebook. We are live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And so if you are with us on any of those platforms, please let us know. Please let us know. Shout yourselves out. Share with your friends and your family. That we are live. I know that you were anticipating us being here on at 10 o'clock. We are on 10 o'clock. every single Saturday. And, technology is not a perfect science. And so we're grateful that we are able to pivot to something else to make sure that we have have a stream for you, have a show for you today. I want you to do me a favor while you're sharing. Come on. I want you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe. Now, this is the old one. I still want y'all to do it, okay? Just go ahead and follow us. We're on Camera Solutions LLC on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. I still want to get those follows up on those pages. We're also on Camera Solutions. We're no longer on X. You can tell that this is old because it still has a little birdie, tweety. And you can also head over to our website at www.cara-solutions.com. You can find out all about Cara Solutions, and you can find out about Inspire as well. But I do want to let you know that we have updated the Inspire website. And so you can go to www.getinspired.live www.getinspired.live to find out all about the show, to see previous episodes, to meet our guest spotlight, to sign up for our newsletter. We have some wonderful things that are coming up soon. And we don't want you to miss anything. Excuse me. Amen. Had to put a little bass in my voice, but you know how it is with the children. So we are going to we just go bring Dr. Katrina on, okay? We're just going to bring her on because she has been waiting patiently. I'm so grateful that she had time in her schedule to be able to join us today. She is Reverend Dr. Katrina Roseboro-Marsh, the Executive Director of the Open and Affirming Coalition of the UCC. I am about to read her bio right now. Listen, I'm just bobbleated this morning, child. Ah! Reverend Dr. Katrina Roseboro-Marsh is ordained clergy and holds ministerial standing with the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, DOC, in Northern California, Nevada region, and a fellowship of Affirming Ministries, also known as TFAM. She served on the Rivers of Living Water Ministries, New York and New Jersey, UCC, as an associate pastor for 12 years. She is a member of City of Refuge, UCC, Oakland, California. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, a Master of Science in Social Work from Columbia University in New York, and a Doctor of Ministry in Interfaith Clinical Education in Psychological Pastoral Counseling from Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion. Dr. Roseboro-Marsh has over 16 years of experience as a clinician. She works with individuals, couples, and families using an integrative approach in her private practice, a Fit Mind professional consulting. She also offers spiritual direction and counseling and mediation services through a Fit Mind. She works mostly with clients who are LGBTQIA plus identified, and particularly with those who also identify as African American and have an active religious and or spiritual practice. Dr. Roseboro-Marsh is also a published poet, grant writer, and an expert mental health voice in the magazine and blog of the National MS Society. She has led trainings, classes, and mental health workshops for organizations, including Trauma Informed Care for African American LGBTQI communities, Akron AIDS Collaborative, AAC, and Maintaining Mental and Spiritual Health during this prolonged pandemic time, Northern California, Nevada, DOC. She is married to the amazing Reverend Tanner Roseboro-Marsh, and they reside on the East Coast with their Morkie, Solar Darling, Roseboro-Marsh. And if you have ever met their little one, listen, she is a treat for sure. So as we get ready to meet Dr. Katrina, let's just take a quick look at some of the history of the Open and Affirming Coalition. This was from their 30th anniversary celebration.
I never thought I would find a church that would welcome me.
For so long, I was stuck in my fear and misunderstanding. But through the open and affirming process, I got to know people who are lesbian and gay and bisexual and transgender. I learned we shared common values, the same hopes for the future, the same desire for community, and a common faith in Christ Jesus.
To be open and affirming is to take the Bible seriously and accept one another just as Christ accepted you.
To be open and affirming is to advocate for the rights of all people.
To be open and affirming is to support same-gender loving relationships.
To be open and affirming is to live the good news of full welcome and inclusion of people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, and same-gender loving.
The Open and Affirming movement in the United Church of Christ is the biggest and fastest growing LGBTQ welcoming church movement in the world. So how did we get here? In 1972, the UCC's Golden Gate Association made history by ordaining the first openly gay man to Christian ministry in a mainline Protestant denomination, the Reverend William R. Johnson. That same year, Johnson, together with several others, founded the UCC Gay Caucus, which today is known as the Open and Affirming Coalition of the United Church of Christ. In 1982, the Potomac Association ordained the UCC's first openly lesbian minister, the Reverend Ann Holmes. The General Synod commissioned a study of human sexuality in 1975, and 10 years later, the 15th General Synod adopted a resolution which said, quote, calling on United Church of Christ congregations to declare themselves open and affirming. The Open and Affirming movement changed history. Today, UCC Open and Affirming churches offer a strong, visible, and public witness about their open and affirming values. They continue to create safe spaces for open and honest conversation about human sexuality and gender identity. They are encouraging people of different sexual orientations and gender identities to serve in lay and ordained leadership. Open and affirming settings affirm the relationships and celebrate the weddings of same-gender loving couples and acknowledge their anniversaries. They are advocating for marriage equality, non-discrimination policies in employment and public accommodations, and other rights for LGBTQ people. Many UCC Open and Affirming congregations host meetings of groups like PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, and are an inspiring presence in local LGBTQ pride celebrations. They advertise that they are a safe space for LGBTQ youth and actively provide care and support for LGBTQ seniors and advocate for their concerns. A growing number of UCC churches sponsor LGBTQ asylum seekers and refugees. So, what's next?
100% open and affirming. That's what's next.
With the Holy Spirit's guidance, we re-up the call of the 15th General Synod, which in 1985 invited every congregation to become an open and affirming church.
Every UCC church,
Every UCC setting,
100% open and affirming.
That is the vision.
Welcome, Dr. Katrina Roseboro-Marsh.
Good morning. How are you?
Listen, I'm better that we finally got on.
Good, good. Listen, you have navigated this so smoothly. I told you if it was me, as they say, I would be SOL.
But thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for joining us this morning. Before we get into our conversation, I want to say hi again to those who have joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. I see y'all on Instagram. So if you see me facing this way, I am waving to the Instagram folk. I'm waving to the Instagram folk. And before we get into our discussion, all right, what are you sipping on this morning? I know you've been sipping.
Oh yes, I have, and I am having chai.
Chai, yes,
Mhm.
one of my favorite chai tea. Is there a particular brand?
I think it is. My wife just found one that works very. I mean, the taste is just amazing. I want to say it's Taizo, something. It comes in a box,
Oh yeah, was it TSAO or something like that? Was it
something like
Tazo?
that.
Something like that. I think
I
I've
think
seen
it's
it.
a Z in there, but
Okay, okay, yeah, I think I've seen that. I do happen to love chai as well, but
wonderful.
coffee, coffee.
I,
And for those of you who are watching, that always because people come for me, Dr. Katrina, because I
oh
drink
no.
decaf. There's actually caffeine in my cup this morning. Ain't there?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm an occasional coffee drinker, but real coffee drinkers don't, they come for me because I add coffee to my cream, as they say.
Oh
So
yeah. It got it. Yeah. The coffee has to look like me. Oh well, us actually, right? It has to be a little light skin.
has to be very light, very
Yeah,
light.
and a little sweet, a little sweet.
Absolutely.
I see y'all Instagram. Hey y'all. So thank you again for joining us. So I just played the anniversary video, the
Hmm.
30th anniversary of the
Hmm.
Open and Affirming Coalition, and that was some years ago. That was it 8 years ago?
No, 30, then that would be almost 22
20 years
years
ago.
ago.
Okay, well,
Hmm.
listen, they posted the video 8 years ago. I checked on YouTube.
Okay.
They posted it, but the Open and Affirming Coalition has been around. I know it was called something else, but it's been around for a very long time. Could you tell us a little bit about what those words, right? What really those words mean, open and affirming? I know they explained it a little bit in the video, but can you
Hmm.
expound a little bit more on that? And also, what is the specific work of the Open and Affirming Coalition?
Well, I first want to thank you again for having me here today. And I want to highlight that, yes, the coalition this year, it's either June or July, we're turning 52. So they've been around for a long time.
Wow.
And so when we talk about the work of the coalition, they put that, and I want to say that video, even though it's 30 years old, it is still everything they said in that video very relevant for today.
Yeah.
Like nothing has really shifted. It's still on that same trajectory of 100% O&A. And what that means is it is the coalition's desire that, particularly within the UCC, that the UCC churches be a safe space for LGBTQIA and 2S plus individuals and their families.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about being open and affirming, one of the most simplistic and basic things is highlighting that it's different than welcoming. And that's one of the things that we put when we go out and have these conversations, is that because we'll hear people say, well, we're welcoming, and that just means you're tolerant. And that's not what the coalition is championing. That word.
Yeah.
we are saying, no, it's not about tolerating. It is about affirming and creating a space where LGBTQIA and 2S plus individuals and their families can come and grow with God and
Yeah.
can come and serve as they are called.
Yes. And I love that you brought that up about welcoming, because there indeed is a difference,
There's a
right?
difference.
Churches can welcome you all day long, but can you be fully engrafted into the life of the church? Can you be in leadership? Will they honor your relationships? Will they marry you? Like there's so many ways of unwelcome
Yes.
that some of these churches engage in, and so we have to move. Yeah, I'm suspect if a church that says, "Hey, we welcome all of God's children." No, you don't. No, you
Right.
don't.
Right.
Right?
And that's the thing. If they will honor and acknowledge me,
Yeah.
do can I go here and not have the anxiety that I'm going to get a side eye look, or I'm going to get something from the pulpit
Yeah.
that's going to harm my spirit?
Yeah. 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 So, thank you so much for that, Dr. Katrina. So, how does the coalition address intersectionality within its work, particularly concerning race, gender, and
Mhm.
sexual orientation?
Well, we first hold that intersectionality is like the justice in action, kind of like of addressing issues of systemic inequality, but addressing it more kind of like effectively. So I would say that the first way we kind of address it through the entities that go through our certification process is with our covenant.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go through the process, we use what's called Building an Inclusive Church. That's the main book that we use.
Okay.
And in this process, it walks you through how to become an O&A congregation. When you go through, after going through the process, some churches it takes years, some
Mm-hmm.
churches it does not, because the the process helps you to have conversations in spaces and places where we want everybody, for wherever they are, to have a space to hold what they believe and to discuss it. And of course, we want people to say, well, yes, we definitely agree with O&A, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
But this process also gives space to those who don't, but education and processing as well. And so once all that's done, at the end, the entity should have what's called a covenant. And if you know UCC is huge on covenants.
Yes.
And this covenant is a guide of the congregation saying, this is how we will honor the LGBTQIAN2S plus community. And,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so the and is honoring the whole person. So, for example, the covenant must recognize LGBTQIAN2S plus individuals, but also that they hold multiple identities, such as race, ethnicity, class, ableness, etc., and that all of those things are part of a person's experience. When I show up, all those things show up. I did a workshop in Indianapolis last week, and I shared with this one of the things I said, if I'm looking for a church that is going to be open and affirming, I want to know that I can be safe coming there as a Black woman,
Yes.
and also coming there with an invisible disability.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you create a space where you're openly acknowledging as someone is searching, they can see if that space is a fit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's part of how we hold intersectionality, is making it a part of the covenant. So when their certification begins, they're saying we're offering this safe space, this affirming space, where also we're giving space for all voices to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. I see all of you coming in. Uh, Reverend Dr. Marilyn Pagan Banks, good morning, sis. Minister Sandy Hudson, Dr. Chella Belcher, good morning. I see Minister Jules on and Chris and all of the people. Listen, the folk are coming in, the folk are here, the folk are here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have a question for Dr. Katrina, please feel free to post that question, and I will do my best to have her answer those questions before we end today. Dr. Katrina, thank you again. So you talked about the covenant
Mhm.
and the process. Can you give us a little more insight on what the process is? If I'm a church that desires to become open and affirming, what are the steps I would take?
Well, the first thing, it's very simple. The first thing you would do is you would go to our website. We actually have everything on our website that is needed. And as you, it says how to become ONA. And you click that, and it will take you into the process of the BIC. It'll tell you how to order the BIC so that you may follow it. It recommends that you create an ONA team to lead this process. That's one of the things we do not we don't support pastors leading this process, because we know pastors change.
Yeah.
Those congregants are going to be there, you know, whether it's one pastor or another pastor. So we recommend that you create an ONA team to lead the process through the ONA guide. We also offer the opportunity, if you need some help going through, we have ONA coaches. All of this is online. You can request an ONA coach in your area if you feel like you want some in-person things, or we can get an ONA coach from anywhere across the US if you want to do the sessions virtually. Okay, so that's how you begin. There's also a place on our website. If you are, let's say you're a new church start, and let's say you're actually LGBTQ IAN2S plus pastor, then there's an alternative track that you can do that's separate from the main track of becoming ONA. And what that does is kind of goes through kind of like an assessment to see where you are, to hit some of our milestones per se through the covenant. For example, when we're talking about going back to the intersectionality piece, there are some parallels with that, of like using intentional language that acknowledge and celebrates differences. Is this something that you're already doing? Yeah. And for being as our justice ministry is now saying, love out loud, for loving out loud and becoming challenging discrimination outside of the churches and speaking against phobias and prejudices. Is this something that you're already doing? So there are two tracks of how to become ONA, and it's all by clicking on our website.
And I've posted the link for that website inside of the chat. So if you're interested in more information, just click on that link in the chat, and it will take you to their wonderful website. Amen. What are some of the unique challenges that you've faced so far? I want to learn more about you personally and how you came to be the executive director. But before we get there, what are some of the unique challenges that you faced, or that the organization has faced, right, in working for the inclusion of LGBTQ folk in the UCC churches?
Well, the first challenge I'm going to say is, it's a true challenge, and that is being a triple minority. And that is being a Black female lesbian navigating a predominantly white organization.
Yes.
It is and we don't like to identify that as a challenge, because we want to think that things will still go as they have gone, no matter who is leading the organization. But it's not really the reality.
Yeah.
And so with that, another challenge is sometimes the resistance from communities inside and outside of the denomination, particularly when it comes to those who are anti-inclusivity, and who become skeptical of, if our church becomes ONA, we're going to become the gay church. And trying to get people to understand that, first of all, there is no gay church.
Can you say that again?
I honestly have a difficulty grasping what people mean by that. Nobody has given me anything that I really can grasp, because here's another reality of most of the UCC churches. The majority of people are heterosexual.
Mm-hmm.
They identify as heterosexual. The reason that most of the churches are becoming ONA is because the people in the congregation align with the values of the coalition, which again,
Mm.
talking about the intersectionalities.
Yes.
And not just that, they also want a space to raise their children and to raise their grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
where no matter how they may identify or what life situations may shift them in one type of class or anything, they have a place where they can come and will be fully accepted and can still grow in God.
Yes.
So there is no gay church.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It is just an open space where people have made the decision to honor every human being that God has created.
Yeah. Yeah. Whew. I love that you said that and that you pointed that out. I have come across a number of people who assume because a church is open and affirming, that it's a gay church, or because that ministry happens to be led by someone who is a member of the LGBTQ community, that it's a gay church. And so thank you for raising that. Just there's no gay church, there's no gay Bible, there's you know, that it is all it is all the same. And I pray that one day we can get to the place where we're not
Yes.
separated
Yes.
in that way. Um,
And I think the more we began to really personally grow in our relationship with God, the more inclusive you can become.
yeah.
I remember years ago, this was several years ago, someone was telling me to do some kind of meditation. Something was going on in my life. They said, "Well, do this meditation," and there was some incorporation of some spirituality in it. And I remember, and I had to do it in the shower. And I was in the shower, and I couldn't remember what they told me to say. And I said, "Well, God, I don't remember what they said to say, so I'm just gonna say it all." And clear as a day, clear as day, God said, "Well, you can call me whatever you want to call me." They said,
Mhm.
and God said, "Your name is Katrina. Some people call you Trina.
Yes.
Some people call you Redstone. Some people call," and God went through all these nicknames people had for me. They said, and God said, "But you still answer because you are still you." And God is the same way. People just call God differently as they have that relationship with them. If you're from the South, we're good with giving nicknames,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's still the same person and it is still the same God.
Now, as multifaceted, and so this is something I also love talking about, because as multifaceted as we know God to be, as we know the divine to be, right? And creator, sustainer, provider, all of the names
Yes,
that we
yes.
give God. Why would why would we, one, kind of put God in a box in that way, and see God as only one way, or call God only one name?
Mm-hmm.
And why would we see each other as just this,
Right. And,
right?
and
Yeah.
and and that was my point. As you get to grow in God
Mhm.
and really see the expansiveness of God, it helps with you being able to see all of the humans that God has created
Yes.
as the reflection of all of God's love.
Yes. 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 Ooh, I love it. I see Prophet Twana, PT. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. I see all of you on. I see my dear brother, our dear sibling, Pastor Charles Watterson. Good morning on joining us on Instagram. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you again. Hey, Chuck Hunt. Let me tell you about Chuck Hunt. Chuck
Hey,
Hunt is
Chuck.
always always supporting. Thank you so much, Chuck Hunt, for joining us
Wonderful.
today. Again, if you have a question for Dr. Katrina, please post it so that we be sure that she responds. She gets a chance to respond to it. I see y'all talking. And you are agreeing and affirming and confirming all of what Dr. Katrina is saying to us this morning. So you made history, right? Last year, I believe it was last year. It was the year before. You can
It
correct
was
me.
last year.
It was last year as the first Black woman executive director. Now that's telling in and of itself of the overall
Absolutely. Absolutely.
coalition. Can you share a bit about that journey and that process? And what do you believe that milestone? What does that milestone mean to you personally? And what do you believe it means for the organization as a whole?
You know, well, first, and I may ask you to repeat some of that as
That is fine.
about the process. I want to say I had no idea that I would be a first.
Wow.
I ended up applying for this position because I went to God and I said, God, I love the psycho-spiritual work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but it just does not allow me a life of stability.
Yeah.
Because people's life change, and you're dependent on people to actually come to session.
Yeah.
If they don't come to session, you don't get paid. Because
Yeah.
I have a private practice where I don't take insurance; it's only private pay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, if you bring something to me or show me something where I can be my full self, and where I can, and this is real silly, and where I can end any email that I send with blessings, because I know there's power in that. And I want to send that out to people over just an email. I said, then I'll consider cutting back some of my clients
Mm.
and taking a job. Now, this was huge because I've worked for myself for a long time. So working on a job, but understanding that I needed some stability, needed
Yeah.
some financial stability.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I kid you not, it was either the next day or the day after. This position I don't even know where I saw it. And I read it and I said, wow. I said, not only would I be able to just show up with my full self,
Mm-hmm.
it's in the work of the passion that I love. It's with the LGBTQIA and 2S plus people. It's connected to religion. I'm like, this is like the position. So
Wow.
I'm just going to apply.
Mm-hmm.
And I told nobody. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell any of my friends. Because I said, God, this is between me and you. If this is really what you're saying to do, then the process will be smooth. It'll be easy. So by the time we got to the third round of interviews, I said, I might need to tell somebody that this might be possible.
Yeah.
And so we go to the third, we go to the fourth, and they offer me the position. And it was not until then that I learned that I would be a first.
Wow.
And I said to the person, if you had told me this, I would have backed out of this. I would not have gone through these
Wow.
interviews, because it's not the first time I've been a first. And understanding the weight that comes with being a first, and being a first with such a prestigious organization, I would not have signed up for that. So that's the process of getting how I got into this position.
Wow. Wow. And so you're being the first. What do you feel that brings to the organization?
I think the key thing is it shows how the organization, when we talk about living out loud, are living out loud in their intersections, where they really are expanding its own um, ideology of walking into what we're, how they say, as we preach, doing as we preach,
Yes.
that this was one of the next to the last. And I say the next to the last because now that I'm here, now we have to expand, including even more BIPOC people
Yes.
in this organization.
Mhm. Mhm. So in a sense, the organization now kind of looks like the people
Yes,
that they're serving. Yeah.
yes.
Wonderful.
On a total, on the totality.
Yes, on the
Mm-hmm.
totality. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh yeah, the people agree. Let me just make sure that we don't have any questions coming
Sure.
in. Hey Shirley! Oh my gosh, the folk are here to see you, Dr. Katrina. I'm so grateful. I'm
Hello.
so
I know. I feel. I'm excited. All family is here. Like, woo.
yes, family is definitely in the house. So you have almost 20 years. I'm just going to say that almost 20 years of professional
Mm-hmm.
clinical experience. You know, as a clinician,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is the work um, that you've been called to do,
Yes.
right? In connection with what you're doing with the coalition. How do you integrate your clinical insights into your work with the coalition to support LGBTQ plus individuals?
That's an interesting question because it's like I can't separate myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is everything there's an integration
Yeah.
from my training in how I'm processing something, how I'm highlighting. For example, we recently created um, support space for clergy,
Mm-hmm.
and that came because of some of the work, some of the emails that I get from clergy, and I said, this is highlighting the mental wellness piece that is lacking for one, ONA pastors,
Mm-hmm.
two, LGBTQIA and 2S plus identified clergy, whether they're pastors or ministers in discernment, and three, also specifically again for those that are LGBTQIA and 2S plus and BIPOC clergy. And so we started a space for them where we can, it's called holding space,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which I borrowed from my great friend, Dr. Paige DeRosier.
Yeah.
She gave me permission and said, yes, please take it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I felt it fit with what um, is needed. Where do we talk about some of the challenges that
Mm-hmm.
you even asked me about being in this denomination and
Yeah.
being in the denomination and do with faith as well as politics, or so clergy need a space to really um, lay that down
Yeah.
and to pick up what's needed from their other colleagues, as well as I was intentional of choosing facilitators that are not only clinicians, but who also have religious training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one space. The other space is partnering with. We recently started a partnership just this week with the Alzheimer's Association, where we will be working with LGBTQIA and 2S plus individuals specifically who either have dementia or Alzheimer's, who are caregivers for people with dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So those are some of the ways.
Wow. What are you most proud of Uh, so far in your tenure as executive director? What has been one of the most proud moments for you?
Can I be honest?
I sure can.
My most proudest moment is even through the opportunities and the challenges, still staying in my space of truth and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm most proudest of.
Wow. Wow. So would you say it's easy to kind of lose that in your position? Not you, but I'm just saying in general.
I Yes, from 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 what I've gotten to witness, I'll
Mm-hmm.
say,
Mm-hmm.
and that is outside of this organization and expanded just in doing this kind of justice work,
Yes.
all over. Yes,
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's something to be proud of. Let me just make sure.
it's hard. It's hard though. It's
Yeah.
hard sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard sometimes. And being honest, sometimes I cry to God and say, why can't I just be like the other people? Like, you know,
Yeah.
why do I just have to be so grounded in truth and
Yeah.
integrity?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Powerful. Powerful. The folk are agreeing with you. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Mr. Sandy says she loves that. Um, Pastor Charles says that's why are the perfect choice.
mm, thank you, my brother.
That's why you are the perfect choice to lead this organization in this way. What do you do for self care? Your work as a clinician, your work in the public square, right? Your work as executive director of this organization. What does self care look like for you, and how do you ensure that you maintain your own well being?
First, I listen to my body, um, and take PTO. I am actually on PTO now. As soon as I click off with you, I am starting my PTO for 2 weeks. But I had not planned it.
Mm-hmm.
I started listening to my body saying, hey, I think you need to take a break for a moment. So, and even though with some of the things like on Fridays, I'm off. I cut off on the weekends. I make sure I intentionally do not work on the weekends. But even with that, I follow what my body and what spirit is saying I need to do.
Yes, yes, yes.
And sometimes it gets hard and spirit will use my wife and she'll come and say, well, honey, I think you should.
Mhm.
And I say, okay, I'm listening.
And she just has a way of saying things,
She has a way. She has a way.
just gently, but you feel so convicted.
Right. Right.
So we thank God for the partners and the spouses and the loved ones that will let us know when it's time. Because sometimes we honestly do forget to take care of
Yes.
ourselves,
Yes.
right? It's so ingrained in us.
Because we say, let me just finish this first. If
Yes.
I just do this first. And sometimes spirit and body is saying, no,
Mhm.
you really need to just leave this be. It will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you need to go sit by some water, go listen to some music, go read a book, go do whatever, go play with the puppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
This will be fine because it'll still be there.
It will still be there when you get back.
Hmm.
It will still be there. Thank you for sharing that. What advice would you give to individuals and congregations? Um, so this is within the UCC and beyond that want to support the LGBTQ plus community but don't know where to start.
I would say find what's happening around you.
Hmm.
Start there. Of course, you can always reach out to us because we are connected with, we're almost at 1,900 certified entities. So we have them all across the US, but you can start where you are. What's happening in your town? What's happening in your city? If you're not connected with a church, you can also go to our website and find the closest O&A church to you.
Yes.
And you can always email us and ask us if you don't see anything on our map, because sometimes, as we saw today, we know how technology is. You can email us. But even before that, see where you are. Where are you, and how ready are you to serve and show up out loud? What can you do? Can you, with the election coming up, is there something you could do around that, and the bills that are happening, with what's happening with trans kids in particular, with school systems? Is that something you can connect yourself to?
Yes.
So look for where you are, and then connect also with other organizations that are near you, and some of the national ones that are far.
Thank you so much for that advice. That is okay. So PT has asked, how can we get listed as an O&A church?
You have to go through the certification process. Again, there are two ways. If you are a new church start, or the first step, if you have an LGBTQIAN2S plus pastor, there's an alternate process that you can go and do our assessment online. But it's all online, and you can always email me directly, text me, call me if you have a question. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Can you give the people your email address?
I can. It is Katrina, my first name, at wordsout.openaffirming.org. Katrina at openaffirming.org.
So I have posted that email address inside of the chat. I've also posted the website link inside of the chat for those of you who would like more information.
And Sue, let me say this, because some people don't know. You don't have to be a UCC congregation to be certified as an O&A entity.
That's good to know.
Yes.
That's good to know. So you do work outside
Yes.
of the UCC. Okay.
Yes.
That is
we have some businesses that are certified. We have some seminaries that are certified, as well as conferences and associations.
Thank you so much. What are some, one dream that you have for the future of the Open and Affirming Coalition?
The dream that I have is that it fully first lives out its name as the coalition. And that is partnerships.
Yeah.
No organization can do anything by themselves.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I have been spending most of my time with, is building relationships with other organizations. We're small. We are a staff of 3. And so whether someone else has a staff of 20 or someone else has a staff of 5, if we're working on the same vision and we have the same missions, let's partner and do this thing together, because it's more powerful than me and my 3 and you and your 5 and even you and your 20. If we bring that together, what an impact we could make on this justice movement. So that is my dream, is that it truly becomes the example of what it looks like to be the coalition for the LGBTQIAN2S plus community.
Thank you, Dr. Katrina, so much for joining us today. Thank you for your patience as we worked out the tech.
Listen, I wouldn't want anybody else behind the technology with something like this, but you did this, and you did it with grace all morning.
Thank you so much. We'll have you back. We will have you back, because I know there's some books and things.
Sure.
Right. So we will definitely have you back. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Reverend Tana, for sharing Dr. Katrina with us this morning. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all who came and who will watch later. And feel free to reach out, even just to say hello.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we are at the end. I want to make sure to get this in your air gate. I want you to connect, follow, like, and subscribe the right places, right? So I'm building up our platforms on the Inspire with Sue W on Facebook and Instagram. Please go ahead and follow that. Also, head over to our website at www.getinspired.live. Subscribe to our newsletter. We have some exciting things coming up, Inspire related, and we don't want you to miss anything. On the website, you can learn all about Inspire, all about me, of course, as the host, our guest spotlight, and other things. So please go ahead to the website and sign up. I also would like you to follow us. We're also on Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. We're Inspired with Sue on all of those platforms. And listen, y'all asked for it. The last week and the week before, you were asking for some Inspire Pride swag. And so we do have it. You see today that I am wearing my Love is Genderless tee. And also, of course, I have my Inspire Pride tumbler that I'm drinking my coffee out of this morning. So head over to the website at www.getinspired.live, click swag shop, and you will see all of what we have for Pride. So of course it's Inspired Pride. The one I have right now, Love is Genderless. We have Pride of Deeper Love and Fearfully and Fabulously Made. Do me a favor, head on over to the website, purchase one. If you do purchase a t-shirt, please, or purchase a cup or a tumbler, please take a picture with it and tag me in it, right? So that I know that that you have supported us in this way, that you're rocking your Pride stuff from Inspire. And lastly, want to make sure we've had such an amazing month so far for this series, A Matter of Faith. Next week, we will be in conversation with Crystal D. Cheatham, and she is the CEO and founder of the Our Bible app. I know many of us have downloaded that Bible app and we follow its devotionals. Please do not miss this conversation next week. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Instagram. I love all of your family. It was so good to talk with Dr. Katrina, and so good to see many of you who I haven't had a chance to speak to and seen in a long time. See many of you hanging out with us today. So I love you so much. So I want to make sure. Chuck says you just got finished. I did not ask what you were sipping on today. I'm so sorry. I wanted to jump right in it, but I saw that you posted what you were sipping on. Thank you so much listen, if you've been with us for a long time, you already know what the spiel is. So thank you for just following along with us today. It is time to be out of here. I want you to stay until we meet next week. I want you to stay lifted. I want you to stay motivated. And most of all, I want you to stay inspired. Thank you again for joining us, and I will see you next week.